Hey everybody, Michael here. Thanks for stopping in tonight. Um, just had a bunch of questions, so I was going to do a second show, OnlyFans show, because there was a lot of stuff I didn't get to last night, and hopefully the audio is much better. I don't know what was going on last night. Horrible sync issues with my microphone and my camera and everything, and I hadn't changed anything in my software, and still the same thing was happening today. And I was in OBS messing around with some stuff, and I think one of the plugins was not working the way that it should. So I did a quick test before. Looks like things are back on track with the audio sync. It's hard for me to tell in real time because when you're using a mirrorless camera and a capture card and a microphone that goes through like an audio interface, nothing works the way that you think it does. So in my previews on all my monitors, everything is delayed, and somehow magically in the software through filters and stuff like that, it brings things together and syncs things. So somewhere things got out of whack last night. So I didn't notice that till afterwards. So hopefully this is smoother here tonight. But we're back to answer another few questions. And in case you don't know, my name is Michael. I am a women's photographer located here in New Jersey. I've been a boudoir photographer for over 15 years now and have worked with literally hundreds of women through the course of my professional career. And probably 5 years ago or more, women started coming into my sessions, and I'd be chatting with them a bit to find out about how they were using their photos. And they'd be like, oh, this is for my OnlyFans site. And I was like, what does that mean? So slowly, and I would have more and more women coming in and using their photos for their online content. And through the course of that, I've been through dozens and dozens of women, worked with them, setting up their accounts, managing their accounts, and all aspects of OnlyFans. And through that process of talking to all these people, I've learned a lot. Working with small new creators to people literally with thousands and thousands of followers and everything in between. So you kind of get an idea what people are doing, what things tend to work and what things don't work out. And so over the course of that, through my website, I always get lots of people contacting me who want to book, and certainly people who have questions about my blog posts and stuff like that. So these are just questions that come in that over time that, turns out many people have. And I do a similar show like this for boudoir photography. This is kind of an offshoot of that one, where we're more talking about online creators and making content for your OnlyFans and other accounts like that. So just one person's advice. Hopefully we can help people out because it's a lot to figure out. And so want to help people make it a little bit easier for them. So not too many questions. I have a couple questions to get in and answer. And if you have any questions, you're watching this during or afterwards, just leave a comment down below. And what I do is save those and put them in a future show. So that's the way that this kind of works. And so what we'll do is get into the first question here. Again, it's sort of kind of a basic question, but this is something that arises all the time in my sessions, before the sessions or after the sessions. People are always asking, how often do I need to post photos? And I want to keep things fresh, but I don't want to burn out. And this is really like understandable. And of course, at the beginning, people are really into it. It's exciting. Your account is new. So people want to be posting. And then that really tails off for a lot of people. Most people, they kind of like lose steam and I'll get to it later. And it goes from a couple times a week to once a week to once every couple weeks and to never to then I'll pop back on in a couple months and then I post again and it fades away. So, pardon me, one of the things we always talk about is consistency. And you really need to be one of these people who like social media and get on there. And either you are this type of person or you are or not. People who just really like to post photos tend to have better long-term success. But as far as how often do you need to post, what I see is at least a Monday to Friday type strategy. And the more you can post, the better during that week. And I'm not talking about just regular pictures for your feed, but I think you really need to be doing mass messaging posts in there as you build up your content at least 2 or 3 times a week as well, especially if you're running a free account. because that's necessary to start selling and building revenue there. But the more you post, it seems like you start to attract more people to that account. You get more feedback, and the more likes you get. And I think that sort of figures into their formula of making your account a little bit more visible, although it's not super visible on OnlyFans. But the one thing, and I think there was another question about this down the line, but the content calendar really makes it easy. If there's one good thing to say about the OnlyFans site, that content calendar is very helpful, because you can go in and very easily schedule your content for an entire week. Sit down on a Sunday night or a Monday morning. I know that's what I do with people I work with, and just get everything situated for that week, and you can get it all done in a few minutes, and you don't have to think about it, and you can just, that part of it is done. So the scheduling is really wonderful. But post often, post consistently, and then once you sort of settle into a routine, or you start to grow, you can see if you can make any adjustments there. And I know in some situations, maybe there's not a lot of people on Sunday. Maybe it's not worth posting something on Sunday, so you can always adjust afterward, but it's best to be very regular at first, make some adjustments after, experiment with times a little bit. I don't think that really matters that much. Instagram does not have nearly the volume, or OnlyFans does not nearly have the volume as Instagram or something like that. So I don't think posting is too time sensitive, but just keep posting at first. Keep posting. My voice is horrible, getting allergies. I've been on allergy pills already for like several weeks, and the wind is blowing. Whatever's blowing in the wind here is giving me a horrible sinus headache today. So pardon my voice, and pardon me keep drinking, because then I'll wind up choking and coughing here on you. Okay, important question here. What's your process for planning a photo shoot? I'm looking for ways to make my content creation more efficient. Well, for the people that I work with, we definitely want to have a plan. And what I try to do with the people I work with is once a month, try to meet up with them for a high intense kind of content creation photo shoot. And I do want to have some ideas of what we're doing during that time. Or if I don't, I want to make sure the person I'm working with has an idea. So that way, when we show up, there's a plan and we can get to work. You're not coming in, what do you think? Or what do you think? Or what do you think we should do? So usually I'll have it on my calendar. I'll reach out to the person at least a couple days or a week ahead of time. What do you have in mind? I don't know. Well, start thinking of something. So yeah, you do want to have like some ideas, whether it's specific outfits, dresses that you want to wear. Sometimes people want to use specific props in a session or whatever it may be. Just at least start thinking about what you're going to do. So that way on the morning you're planning your photo shoot, you can get right to it and you're not wasting time thinking about it. So that's the way I sort of work it. After you've done this hundreds and hundreds of times, you definitely come up with sort of a plan that works for you, but everybody's system is going to be a little bit differently. I'm more of a morning person, at least 10:30, 11 or so, we get rolling. So that way we're done by 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And it seems like a long time, but once you're in there taking pictures, it goes by really quickly. And we're very sort of regimented in what we do. We know we don't have that much time. And once we start going, we're all business in getting these photos done. So, and as far as on my end, or if you're a content creator, the night before, make sure all your batteries are charged. I have 8 bazillion batteries. I have to charge on phones and cameras and lights and little transmitters and you name it. So I got to go through and make sure all my batteries are charged, all my memory cards are there. And, this is just a routine. I go again the night before. So that way the day I am going out and we're starting to do photos, I know everything is good to go. So that's like a night before routine to me, is check all my batteries, get everything charged, and my gimbals and video camera and everything else. So that's good to go. Microphones if we're doing anything with audio. And that's a big part of it too. So a week out or so, depending on your schedule, think of a plan of what you want to do. The night before, what I do is get all my gear good and ready to go, and then show up, and that way we can start working. And then also, I think what's good to do is just definitely schedule a time. We're starting at noon and we're going till 2 if yourself or whatever you're doing. So that way you're in that mode. And I always think of it like, it's like library mode. Like if you were in school and you're in your dorm or something, and there's a lot going on. When you went to the library, you were in study mode. There was something about that environment that you were there, and or it's kind of like gym. Why some people can't work out at home, they got to go to the gym because they're in gym mode. So you just got to create a situation where you can get yourself in photo mode, and that way you're focused just on that. You can do your work, get it done, get it out of the way, and move on the rest of your day. So those are just a couple of tips as far as getting your photo shoot up and ready and planning. And the more you do it, you'll see what sort of matters to you, and you can adjust a little bit kind of on that front. With all the content I plan to create, I'm a bit worried about managing it all. How do you keep track without getting overwhelmed? Again, this is a really, really good question, because as you start to create a lot of photos or a lot of videos, there's just thousands of them, and you need some way to keep things in order. And what I would suggest to anybody doing content for like online creators is definitely get yourself a laptop or a PC, because I think if you're just doing all this on your phone, it turns into one continuous scrolly mess on a phone. It's very hard to compartmentalize that and to structure it in any way, because it's all in one giant gallery. And what the system that I sort of evolved to is just a very hierarchical folder system, meaning that my main folder is the year. So 2024, I have one 2024 folder, and then break that down by session per person, meaning like if I was doing a shoot today's April 29th or March 29th, it would be 2024-03-29. Typically have the person's name and part of that, and then sometimes it may be a short descriptive sentence, black lingerie or swimsuit or whatever it may be. So date dash person's name dash, and have one big folder. And then within that folder, again, have all of the content that we created, the pictures and the videos, all mushed into that folder. And then as I go back into that and start editing that content in that folder, I'll create, usually, especially for online content producers, two other, maybe a free content and then a paid content folder within that one. So that way I know, which things are just going to be in a regular feed, which content may be part of a paid, like a mass message or something along those lines. So that way, if I need to go and find something, I, can find it by date, and everything sort of stays in order that way. And I know where to find something if I'm looking for by client, and then the date, and then so forth. And it's a system that just has worked out for me over the years with all my photography. But that's just something that works for me. Now, I know there are a lot of people online that have different systems for archiving and saving their photos. So you could always do a quick Google search, and in the photography universe, how to organize your work. Some photographers do it Lightroom. If you're a Lightroom user, save everything again by date or whatever your system. I always found that date works easiest for me, and so I do it by year, and then break down another folder for every session during that year, and each folder is the date, the name, and sometimes a descriptor. If you have multiple outfits, so I don't make it that detailed, but just sometimes the person's name, dump everything into that session folder. And then within that, I can create a video folder, a photo folder, and then subfolders relevant to that particular session as far as free material or stuff that we are saving for PAVE. Now, the only thing I haven't conquered, and I do have a tough time keeping straight myself, is that things that have been used already. For instance, once you start to make a lot of material, you've posted some of it. I don't really have a great way of knowing what I posted versus what I haven't posted at this yet. I suppose you could make another folder in there, but posted material, so I just have to keep a mental note for each person I work with, maybe what was posted or not, or go back and review their account and see what was going on there. But maybe somebody has a great idea that they've doing to keep track of things that they posted. So let me know, or write the answer down below and have some tips about that. But it gets pretty complicated. As long as you come up with some kind of system that works for you, so you don't have a mess of pictures all over the place and you can't find anything or you don't remember what it was. And, it starts to get messy, like I said, when you get into the tens and tens and tens of thousands of photos. So folder system definitely is the easier way to go to keep track of your content. Okay, next, growing my subscriber count seems like a mountain to climb. Got any insider tips or tricks? Well, when it comes to growing subscribers, it's work. There's no tricks really to doing that. It's just consistency, driving people to your account. I always use Instagram as an example. That's really the conversion. You want to do most of your work there and then get the people over to your OnlyFans account. So the harder you work there, the more people will go and subscribe. There are other things, of course. You can partner with other content producers, take some of their subscribers and vice versa. They'll grow by yours. So doing collaborations is another way sort of to do that. But there is really no hidden secret or insider tip, really. It is just, it's work. And that's the thing about it. There's no shortcut. You got to put in that work, and it's hard. And that's where a lot of people struggle, because they're doing this work and they're not seeing an immediate result, and it takes time. And it often feels at the beginning you're doing all this for nothing, and you're producing content that no one's really seeing, or, so that's why don't stress about what you're doing at first in that regard, because it's not really getting a lot of exposure. It gives you time to figure things out. And as you build people, you learn how to do it, you work out your systems, and you can get better at it. But any insider tip, I would say just work hard on your Instagram account there and start funneling those people over to your OnlyFans account. But it's not a trick. There's no trick. There's no tip. There's no shortcut. It just takes work. Here we go. Social media is obviously a key for promotion, but how do I use it effectively without oversharing? Yeah, and I know what people mean by this, and often one of the conversations was about when people would work with me, what should I share on my Instagram versus what should I save for my OnlyFans? And I didn't want to use the good stuff when I could, and that's not really too much of a concern, because don't hold things back. Now, obviously, Instagram is becoming worse and more strict, I should say, as far as what you can post there. And with the AI bots and the image recognition, it's getting tougher and tougher. You really can't post like lingerie photos on Instagram anymore, because you just get your account restricted. So, but if you are doing a photo session and you have bathing suit stuff or dress stuff, and I don't even know where the line is anymore on Instagram, but use it. Because you remember, we're trying to grow accounts. So anything that helps that account grow and you can send over to your Instagram, and material can be reused and recycled. So it's not a problem posting something on Instagram and again posting it, at another time on OnlyFans. It's not going to hurt anything. And it's not like oversharing. And as far as, people were concerned about, using good content they wanted to use, I guess, like lingerie material on Instagram that they would save for OnlyFans. Again, it's not a big deal. And right now you probably can't post a lot of lingerie things on Instagram. Well, you can, and your account will get restricted, meaning nobody will see it other than you. And you may not even realize your account's restricted. You have to constantly go in and check, but there's no harm in even posting like lingerie or bathing suit photos on Instagram, because that's going to grab people's attention. They're going to make them say, ooh, this is an account, and they'll subscribe to your Instagram account. So there's no loss with that happening either. And then transitioning those people over to your OnlyFans account. So don't hold back. Don't worry about oversharing. Just don't post the same pic 8,000 times a day on Instagram and drive people nuts, unless that's what you mean. Just every day is good. Regarding pricing, how do I find the sweet spot where my content is valued correctly without scaring potential subscribers away? Yeah. So this comes really down to marketing and how you're going to set up your account. If you're talking about pricing your, paid messages, your mass messages, or pricing your content that you're selling versus your subscription price. High subscription price accounts, if you're talking about a monthly subscription, the higher that cost is, the fewer amount of subscribers you're going to have. The lower that subscription cost is, the more subscribers you will get. There is definitely a relationship between monthly cost and the number of subscribers you will have. Free accounts are going to have the most subscribers. So with this, again, there is no one right or wrong answer. Some people I know, get started in, and I want to have a really high-end type of account and do all professional work, and everything about it is very tailored and done, and they want to charge like a really $30, $40, $50 a month for their subscription. And I just don't think that's going to help grow your account very quickly again. And people will say, well, I'm worth it, and I put all this work in, and there are better ways to do that. And I don't think it's necessarily in the monthly subscription price. And in a lot of cases, it's kind of counterintuitive. What we see, people who have free accounts sometimes make the most money. You're like, they have this idea, subscription, I'm going to get that every single month. And that's true. But it's very difficult, I think, for a lot of people to grow subscription accounts at first, because what happens from the outsider point of view is that when they see a new account, especially newer accounts with none to very few subscribers, the message that goes to that person is that nobody else is looking at this, so why should I pay to look at this? So there's no cars in the parking lot of the store. Why do I want to go in there? No one else is in there. So, it's a little tougher to grow at first, although it can be done. It's a very, very slow process, where if things are lower cost or free, guys are just going to subscribe. They may not have the buy-in that someone who is paying may, but you will see your subscribers grow, your likes will grow, comments will grow, that part of it will grow much quicker, and it creates this feedback kind of a loop. And then they'll see, ooh, there's more subscribers, more likes on this account, I got to check this out too. And then obviously you're making your money through your paid messages and paid posts and stuff like that, which, and if you want to go into the numbers kind of a deal, that's great. You have 20 subscribers paying, $5 a month, you're making $100, great. And it took you a long time to do that. But you could have 5,000 subscribers for free, and only a small percentage of those need to purchase one of your videos that you're making and sending out a month, or photo packages that you're making and sending out a month. And it's going to be orders of magnitude more just on that one message than it would be just to have 5 subscribers at $20. But for some reason, people, they see that as a sure thing, and they see that as guaranteed. They see the other thing as kind of, it could happen, but it may not happen. But I think in the long term, they're trading off a lot, because I've seen with some of the work that we've done where people have sold single messages, and I'm talking produced videos for $30, $40, $50, and have had many purchases of that one video, amounting to way more money than they were ever going to make in a subscription at a dollar amount. So this is one thing that always comes down to comfort, how you want to set up your account. And then it takes a little bit of practice and experimentation. And that's where, if you're putting a lot of work into a photo set we do, and it's very edited and polished, and I always say, start it up here. You can, if it doesn't sell well, you can always lower the price on something and put it back out there again. But try not to, at that point, put a lot of work into that, maximize the return you can get on that. So you can experiment at that point. If you have a video you made or something that you made, and you're trying to find out where. Now, Again, not a lot of this is relevant if you've only have 15 people in your, because that's not a big enough sample size to see who's going to buy what. Now you need several hundred and several thousand to kind of get that to really to work, but you can start experimenting, see where things are going to go, and then adjust accordingly. And obviously, if you have something really big and a lot of photos, sell it for more. If it's only a small couple of things, you would sell it a lot less. But I think each account is a little different, and as you go through, you can figure out what works best for your account and adjust accordingly. And it does take a little experimentation, and you're not going to scare anybody away. Guys are not going to unsubscribe because you charge $30, $40 for a video that you made. They may not buy it, but they're not necessarily going to leave your account. If you're talking about a monthly subscription, yeah, see, it's different too. And if someone signs up for $25, they're probably not going to hang around that long. And so at that point, they're expecting a lot of value. So that's why I don't think that those high subscription in my universe are the best way to go. Keep it inexpensive or free has always been the model that I think has worked best, and then make it all on your mass messages. I'm curious about collaborations with other creators. How does that work? And do you think it's worth exploring? Talked about this a little bit last night. Yeah, once you're established, your followers become a sort of social currency, so as you build up a number of people, that becomes a value. And then if you meet somebody else who's also on that platform, it's a great idea to do a collaboration with them. And typically, they will post your pictures, you will post their pictures, and you know how this works. And then, you have the possibility of having some of those people subscribe to your account, and it's a good way to kind of grow your account, because Instagram or OnlyFans is notoriously very horrible at, they don't promote anybody's account. There's no search on there. There's no way to find anybody. So you really have to do all your own marketing and promotion of that account. So collaborations are a great way. The platform doesn't make it easy to find somebody in your area, again, because there's no real way to search by geography. You just either have to know somebody through a friend of a friend, or sometimes girls, they know each other, they work on there, and you can collaborate just that way. But it's difficult to find people in your area or so forth to work with. So that's really the hardest part of the whole thing, but well worth doing. As I always say, though, just make sure that the person you are collaborating with is sort of doing things on the same level as you are, or at least have some kind of agreement. Hey, my account is a little bit more reserved. I'm only okay doing this kind of work. You do not want to do something that's way out of your comfort zone, because as I noted yesterday, I've had examples where people were excited to meet somebody else. They didn't go over the details, and one person traveled to go see another person, and it turns out person A, again, had a bit more of a conservative side. Person B was a bit more wild, and they were thinking that it was okay to do things that were a bit more extreme. Person A was not so, that wasn't their thing, and it gets a little bit awkward at that point. So just make sure the person is doing a similar kind of content as you, and then always come up with a little bit of a plan, and then take it from there, so that way things go the way that you want it to go. I've been using my phone for all my content. Do you think investing in a professional camera makes a significant difference? No, especially if your account is new. Do not go spending money on expensive equipment. It is really not necessary at that point. Your phone and iPhones, and I repeat this over and over, have such great cameras on them, and the photos are so good that come out of these, and it's so simple to use. There is no real reason you need to go out and start spending, like $3,000 on a mirrorless camera and lens combination, unless you have the money. But I would not go into debt buying that stuff, because especially if your account is new, it's not going to make any difference. You are not going to get any more subscribers because you have a $3,000 camera versus you're using your iPhone. Zero. If you just happen to enjoy photography, and then that's really piquing your curiosity, and you want to learn about how that works and so forth, and you've established yourself and feel that you have, want to get remote controls and stuff like that, and go ahead and do it. then that's something once you're getting a return on investment on that material. But there is zero need to go out and spend money on expensive photography gear when you are starting. It makes zero difference on your growth. And remember, when you're new, especially if your account is new, no one's seeing your photos anyway. So, and it's so much easier just to be able to have your phone. Now, the one thing like we discussed the other night is you may, if it's in the budget and it's not a lot of money, to go out and get one of those tripodies things from Amazon. They're 25 bucks, 35 bucks maybe at the most. And most of them come with a phone holder on it, and you can use your, put the phone at the end of your bed or the side of the room or something, and have a stand, so that way you don't have to be holding your phone and everything is sort of at arm's length like this. That I get. And then a lot of those phone stands come with Bluetooth remote controls too, so that way you can just set it up and snap pictures away. If not, you can use your Apple Watch as a remote control to trigger your phone, or just set the phone timer on your phone if you don't have one. But please don't go out and spend a lot of money on camera gear if you are just starting. It is completely not needed and not necessary. Regarding custom content requests, how do you handle them? Do you have set boundaries or guidelines you communicate to your subscribers? Gotcha. So what this person is asking is what will happen on your account as your account grows is people will message you, ooh, I'm a big fan. Can you do a set of photos dressed like a nurse? Can you do a video for me dressed up in a certain outfit? This will come through custom content requests. And then again, it really comes down to a couple of things. And then I'll give you one example I know of what I just thought of when I was talking about nurse. Just obviously everybody operates within their, riverbanks of the things that they're comfortable doing. People, especially these guys, don't know or understand that. All your material just maybe lingerie material, and you'll get a note, I want you to, all this stuff that there's no on your page anywhere is this kind of content even represented, and that's just what guys are going to do. So yes, riverbanks, make sure it's something within your what you normally do. So obviously there are going to be boundaries there, and you don't necessarily have to advertise this. Some people do, and they'll put a post on there, custom movies, and if you want X, Y, or Z, and they'll have a couple different prices on there. But one example that comes to mind a year or two ago, I forget, where one of the women I was working with was getting custom requests for videos, and one of the requests I remember came through was dressing up in a particular outfit, and it's like, I want you to dress up to get a nurse. That's why I popped in my dressed up as a nurse and get heels. And there was something else, I forget what the something else was the person was asking for. And so the discussion was, and wasn't even anything crazy asking in the video. The discussion was, good opportunity, do this. And she was like, yeah, it's fine with me. So the conversation, of course, rolls around to, what's the budget? If it's an open kind of a request, what's the budget? What do you, if you want a video, what's the budget for this? And again, I don't remember, but the guy was like 20 bucks or something like that, And so the response, of course, was, gee, I appreciate you asking me. I do not have a nurse's outfit. That alone is going to cost me $70, $75. He wanted some kind of spiky shoes, $120 something. I don't have shoes like that, so I got to go out and get $100 something. And I forget what the third item was, but again, it was super expensive. But so all in all, for me to produce this kind of stuff, I'm going to need at least $200, $250 worth of stuff I have to buy, plus the time to make the movie, plus, whatever editing's involved. So, $20 isn't really a realistic thing for what you were asking me. And, so if you are doing custom work, or if someone asks you, usually a great question is, what's the budget? And before you get into a big frenzy of this, if it is someone saying $20 and you do not have any of the props needed or anything like that, and then so I always push, oh yeah, $20, and I explain all this. Yeah, well, someone on another account was going to do it for $18 or something for me. Great, sorry, not my thing, and best of luck with that person. But don't get caught up in a special request when it's really, again, ROI. Why would you go out and spend $200 getting stuff to make a movie for $20? Doesn't make a lot of sense. But sometimes people, again, don't realize this, breaking it down for them. But the other part of that is to, if you are going to be making special requests, account for your costs and time. And if you need someone to edit videos or something like that, because usually custom videos, I'm talking about ones that involve lots of, it's going to be a lot to do something like that. So before you get in this, always ask what the budget is. Do some quick math if there's something you have to purchase or time. And, if it's just a simple thing, if you lying down in your bed and doing a quick selfie with whatever you have, that's another thing. But if there's like production involved and buying things, just make sure that it's worth it. Make sure it's something that's within your boundaries, and just always be thinking about you need to make something at the end of this. But that's just a quick little example on custom content. Do it, but just keep your expenses in mind, costs in mind, and make sure you're making some money and it's all within the riverbanks of what you normally do. And I've noticed some content creators use a screen name. Do you think that that's necessary, or can I just be myself on the platform? You will see a mix of both. Plenty of people use their real names, and then there's another whole group who use screen names. And that, again, is just a comfort. Some people don't want their real name known. A lot of people operate suited like anonymously. They may not show their heads or something like that, and there are people who they have jobs as teachers or whatever, accountant, and they're doing their regular thing, and they do this kind of on the side and try to hide their identity as best they can. They don't show you their face or so forth. So I think that really also comes down to a bit, again, if you are on other platforms and how you're known there. So if they know you as Jane Doe on Instagram, and you want to have that continuity on, it may be worth keeping your same name on Instagram as you do on your OnlyFans. So that gets a little tricky because some people have their real life Instagram that they've been using. They set up a separate one because they're creating content. Maybe they don't on their main Instagram that has their real name, so they make a second one for OnlyFans, and then they are using like their screen name there, and then their screen name transfers over to their OnlyFans account just to have that continuity there. So if you try to protect yourself a little bit, there's no harm in using a screen name. It doesn't matter. Again, some people don't. They just use their real names everywhere, and that's okay. That, again, is just something that makes you comfortable or how you operate, but it really doesn't matter one way or another with what you use as far as growing your business. I've seen creators often subscription tiers. Do you think this is a good strategy? And if so, how do you structure the benefits? And I think what she's referring to here is some people have a free account and then like a VIP, tier in there on their OnlyFans account. And I've never been a big fan of that strategy, but that's just me. I think people have a tough time keeping content rolling on one account, let alone two, let alone their Instagram, let alone everything else. So you're adding one more layer of work for yourself to do. And like I said, and usually that second tier is going to be a paid tier where they're doing some other content that they wouldn't have on their free. Or sometimes I see people say they're VIP, they do chat or something like that. So you're being divisive about your followers. So you worked really hard to get this group of people onto your OnlyFans, and then you're chopping that group again and want them to go on to another step. So you're going to lose another whole percentage. Another tiny percentage is going to go from your free to your paid. And I guess that's just a question of, is it worth it? Then why have the free one to begin with? Why just not funnel everybody to that paid one? See, to me, that strategy, Again, unless you have a huge number of followers, that just didn't, because I'll see we'll have discounts on the VIP one versus the free one, or priority chat. I don't know what priority chat means. You chat with somebody or you're not, or answer their message or not, unless they mean the chat isn't paid. You don't have to pay to send somebody a message. But you just have to ask yourself, again, when you're talking about discount for a video that you made. So let's just say on your regular account, you have 5,000 subscribers, and you know you're going to get a certain percentage to buy that movie, and you're charging a higher price for it. So on your VIP or paid account, you're not going to have 5,000 subscribers. You may have 50 paid people there. And with that same percentage that are buying of those 50 that movie at a little bit of a discounted price, is it really any difference between, wouldn't you rather have the 5,000 and that 10% paying versus the 50 and that 10% paying at a little bit of a lower price? The math doesn't add up to me. So that's one of these things that sort of have evolved, but I don't think it necessarily makes a lot of money sense. And then you have to, again, create two different versions of content. I always say keep it simple at first. Don't worry about like VIP stuff. If you have a movie, get it out there to the 5,000 people and make money on it. Why make things more complicated? It just doesn't make a lot of sense. I think it confuses your followers where they're going to be paying two different prices for something. It's just not my preferred way of do it. I'm sure people who have this set up and they make it work somehow, but especially if you're new, don't worry about that. Just keep things simple. One page, one level. Don't get into a mess like that, because I know you see people doing it, but I don't know if it's necessarily the best thing to do, where it's maximizing, and the key there is to optimize your material. And I think splitting things up at one price versus a second price, I don't know if that's necessarily optimizing your content in that regard. I think it's just simpler, just send it out and let people purchase it. To me, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's kind of like, they don't have two different prices for things in stores. Okay, so that we went through a bunch of questions, and hopefully that was helpful. There's a lot of information in there. In some of these topics, such as the levels or the VIP versus the regular account, really those are topics you could talk about for a half an hour or more. And it would be interesting on the show to have some people on who do one or the other to get their sort of opinions. I've seen both. And if you have, like I said, a lot of followers, it may be worth it. If you're new or just getting started, it is not worth juggling multiple accounts like that and splitting things up. You're just really dividing your people, and it's hard enough to get people. Why make it more difficult by splitting things up like that? So that's what we got. Answered about 10 questions or so this evening, and could be trying to pop on again at least once every other week. I don't think I'll be doing this as often as my regular photography show, but there are plenty of questions as far as setting up and OnlyFans questions here that it warrants to get some of these answered from time to time. And as I noted, if something pops into your mind, you can reach out to me on my website or just leave it on below this video here, and then we can answer them and get the questions answered on a future show. So been on for almost 45 minutes tonight, and I want to appreciate everybody who's watched live or was watching this afterwards, and thanks for stopping by. Hopefully this was helpful, and I'm going to rest my very sore allergy throat now, and I will chat with you next week. Thanks, everybody.